Hello, parents and grandparents, and anyone that is involved working with children and youth. We are going through the book Intentional Parenting, and we started that as a Lenten kind of book study together. And now, with kind of what has been going on, I feel like that this is the best way to have a conversation. And feel free to write anything in the comments or send me an email, anything like that. But the format of this, we will be going over each chapter, starting with chapter one and going through what we're doing and why we are doing it, and what was some different themes and some different questions that got raised. And I can kind of add some resources over the years that I have found very helpful, or some just different language to give that's going through. So in chapter one of being an intentional parent, they start off with being an intentional parent, and where they kind of go through in the way that I like doing things is what was encouraging, what was difficult to read, and the book continued with what I thought was really great was the idea of the relationship, the art of the relationship, and how to find those relationships with your children, with your youth, and figuring out how kind of that ebbs and flows, and then also where you are coming from whenever you're dealing with kind of anxiety or frustration, and that's kind of what they talk about right there at the beginning, where responding out of fear. And so parenting, when we respond out of fear, we are coming in with kind of the worst of ourselves and responding in a weaker state than being more of a proactive parent. And so we are reacting to things instead of proactively going about them. And one of those things that kind of bring up for me is the Enneagram. And if you don't know your Enneagram, it's a good way of understanding who you are and how you operate within different types. And so for me, I'm a six, and so I'm very loyal, kind of deal. And then my wife Anna is an eight, and so whenever we kind of realize that, we see how do six and eights cooperate. And then whenever I'm healthy, I go to a different state, and then whenever I'm unhealthy, I go to a different number. And so if I'm able to recognize that, then those kind of things come out. And so they're just kind of questions of what that brings about for us, and how we can be better parents and better providers for our children. And that's where I really liked what they were kind of bringing in chapter one. And so the other things to kind of think about is that in the theme of chapter one is parenting is a lifelong journey of discovering that brilliant, one of a kind, intentional, creative process of God, imprinting on them in the secret place, that and going about the heart of each one of our children. And so that's where, kind of coming about within chapter one of being intentional and making those decisions that of why did you become a parent, and you know how can you be more intentional in building the relationship with your child. One of the big things that also came up in this is this notion of countertransference. So basically what that means is whenever something is happening within you, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm getting very upset over something that is not doesn't need that response, that there's something going on. And so what is it in my own personal life of my own growing up that I can talk about and see, and then kind of address that. And so and that's what kind of countertransference comes up, is like maybe your child does something that kind of sets you off a little bit. Well, why? And why did that kind of come up in me? And then how can I kind of give language to that? And so those are the kind of the big elements that I saw throughout. And they had some really great questions of, why did you become a parent? What are some attributes of being an intentional parent, and how can you take some of those attributes and live that into your daily life? As well as what I thought was great was creating a mission statement as a family, and especially now where, we are more insular than we ever have been. And so you have this time to talk as a family and to come up with a mission statement, come up with, kind of a company line of who our family is and what they are about. And so I thought that that would be a great exercise for you to do this week.